Hey dudes, it's Llarold. We're in the middle of the War Within Season 2 right now, and this is a great time to level a new character in the run-up to Season 3. Now before I jump in, Sunset and I recently opened a Discord. We've got a lot to say about WoW as patch 11.2 draws ever closer, so join us and say hi. Alright, let's get into it. So I'm going to start with some basic tips here. First off, if you already have some experience playing WoW, and you've unlocked dynamic flying on your account, which really just required playing even like the first hour of Dragonflight, then that'll actually be learned automatically across your entire account, starting at level 10. So you don't need to go back to Stormwind or Orgrimmar, you don't have to visit a trainer, you don't have to hit level 40 to start flying. You can just log in and fly. This is really great. Now, if you haven't unlocked dynamic flight on your account yet, maybe you're a brand new player or you're returning after a really long time, then as soon as you've completed the opening quest lines, you'll be directed to the Dragon Isles at level 10, and you will unlock dynamic flight by completing quests in the first zone, the Waking Shores. This will take place, again, about in the first hour or so of questing there. It's very quick. The second basic tip here is War Mode. It unlocks at level 20, it turns on World PvP. It does require going back to Orgrimmar or Stormwind to turn on, but it is something you can turn off at any inn in the world. You just hit in to open your talents page, and then it's in the bottom right corner, big icon there. War Mode not only activates World PvP, it also grants a 10% XP buff and War Mode talents, some of which can add a lot of damage or useful utility. So you start with one talent at level 20, then you learn a second at level 30, and a third at level 40. The XP bonus from War Mode applies to monster kills and quest rewards, even quest rewards for doing like dungeon quests where PvP doesn't really come into play. So it adds a lot of XP. And because of quest stacking and War Mode talents, it will actually shave more than 10% of the leveling process off of the whole experience. Now, it does mean you might get ganked, but I think it's worth running. It just isn't totally mandatory. In terms of other things that can make leveling faster, you can use heirloom armor. This is purchasable from vendors in Orgrimmar or Stormwind for gold. It can be a little expensive. It's also available for most holiday events for the relevant holiday currency. Now, there are no direct XP bonuses anymore from heirlooms. This isn't Wrath of the Lich King. They're just items that upgrade with you as you level up. They're somewhere between a green and a blue quality item, so if you get a blue item from a quest or a dungeon or something, it'll probably be an upgrade over an heirloom. They're not going to be the best of slot all the time, but they are good for not letting your gear fall like 50 levels behind as you're blazing through quests. They only scale up to level 69, which is nice, but also seems like they might have been forgotten in the War Within. Certainly they haven't been updated yet. Maybe the buff is coming in patch 11.2. There are also the scouting map toys. You can buy these from the same vendors in Orgrimmar and Stormwind. They will explore every zone for you and grant flight paths. They're super helpful for new players. Basically, you make a new player, open up your toys menu, type in scouting map, and then just use them all, and then there you go, you're done. And then I would also recommend using a rare scanning add-on. Rarescanner is my preferred option. It's got the ideal name for it, right? So rares in a lot of zones, especially lower level zones where you're leveling from 10 to 70, give a quest's worth of bonus XP, roughly. So having an add-on to help find them when you're not even looking for them really is super valuable. You can save a ton of time just by having Rarescanner installed. And then finally, I'll just mention the Warband Bank. I like to keep a little bit of extra gold and some bags in the Warband Bank. I think 32 slot bags cost a couple hundred gold, so just having some of that thrown in there so that I can pull it into a new character's inventory as soon as I make it, rather than having to log back and forth. Fixing your transmog is essential on starting a new character, right? So being able to do that without any clumsy logging back and forth and sending mail back and forth between characters is pretty good. And then there is one important feature that was added in the War Within, and that is the Warband XP bonus. So for each character you take up to level 80, you gain an account-wide permanent 5% XP bonus. This stacks up to 5 times, and again, it's permanent. You don't have to do anything, you just have 25% more XP on all your characters forever. This is great, and I hope that this is something that Blizzard uses again in future expansions. It was a really, really good thing that just made leveling early on in the expansion feel very good. Good job, Blizzard. Now, as for running dungeons, if you can tank or heal and you want to run dungeons, then I would recommend doing it. I think the best approach is to queue for dungeons while you're doing quests and kind of bounce back and forth between both. This is a little faster than straight questing because of dungeon quests that give a lot of XP if you're able to carry your groups. So if you're a tank wearing heirlooms, this is usually going to be the case. If you're a healer or a DPS, that can be a bit more of a gamble. The issue with dungeons is just simply that you are at least somewhat reliant on other people in the group to keep things moving quickly, so it's a little less reliable than just doing quests. Right now, Turbulent Timeways is in the game until patch 11.2 releases, so leveling through time walking is an option, and you can start doing it at level 10. However, there were a lot of reports in the last week with BFA time walking that characters below level 30 were getting one-shot by just tons of random stuff in time walking dungeons, so I would maybe be careful not to do that until at least level 30. It may be fine, but it also may not be fine. You have been warned. If you complete at least 4 time walking dungeons during the Turbulent Timeways event, you get a 30% XP bonus that lasts for 3 hours and refreshes its duration each time you complete a time walking dungeon. If you're following this route and doing time walking dungeons once you've hit level 30, that 3 hours might be all you need to get all the way to level 80. Maybe you'll need one more to refresh, but maybe not. So with that being said, let me break down my preferred leveling route. So for levels 1 to 10, just do Exile's Reach. It's a pretty efficient zone, it's a great tutorial section for new players, but it's also modern in a way that a lot of the old starting areas are not modern at all, so it has a much better flow. It is also faster than most of the old starting zones. Allied races and Evokers start at level 10, and Death Knights and Demon Hunters start at level 8. There is one exception to all of this, and that's Allied race DKs, which just start at level 10 and have a little conversation with Bolvar, and then immediately move into the capital city. Alright, once you've made it into Orgrimmar for the first time, you want to set your Hearthstone at the inn there, or I guess in Stormwind if you're Alliance, and then you want to unlock your Dalaran Hearthstone. The Dalaran and Garrison Hearthstones were converted to toys back in Dragonflight, but you still need to do the intro questlines for those zones in order to use them, so you want to set your Chromie time to Legion, and then go talk to Holgar Stormax if you're playing Horde, or Recruiter Lee if you're playing Alliance. Instead of completing the quest that they have for you, you want to select the second dialogue option that allows you to skip straight to Dalaran. This will unlock your Dalaran Hearthstone, which gives you a quick teleport back to Orgrimmar or Stormwind. I mean, technically it goes back to Dalaran, but then you can take a portal right to Org or Stormwind. Doing all of this takes probably less time than it has taken me to explain it, so it is worth doing. And once you have that Hearthstone, just go back to Org or Stormwind. Now let's talk about my preferred route for getting from level 10 to 70 quickly. These are my preferred routes. They do differ slightly for Horde and Alliance. This is not the absolute world record speed route or anything, but it is quick and it doesn't require a lot of confusing jumping back and forth. Once you've gotten your Hearthstone to Dalaran and you have gone back to Orgrimmar or Stormwind, go talk to Chromie again and activate Chromie time, but this time you're going to want to go to Draenor, so you'll choose the Warlords of Draenor questline and go there. Now, if you're new to the game, none of this is going to be an option for you. You're just going to have to do the Dragonflight campaign. That's okay. If you're new to the game, you're being forced into Dragonflight, and then you'll be forced into the current expansion, and you should do all of those. They're good. They're pretty straightforward and simple. Just follow that. Otherwise, you're going to want to start with Warlords of Draenor. And the starting scenario for Warlords of Draenor is very easy. It's a very, directly guided series of quests. It is basically a tutorial that handholds you, but it also grants a lot of XP really quickly. It's very, very good XP per hour. Once you've completed the scenario, you'll set up your garrison and complete the quest line all the way up to building a barracks and recruiting your first NPC to send them out on a mission. This is worth a ton of XP and should get you to around level 20 in half an hour. If you're not already level 20, you can complete some quests and bonus objectives within that starting zone in Draenor until you hit level 20. Then you want to hearth back to Orgrimmar or Stormwind and turn on War Mode if you want that XP bonus, which you probably do. Warlords of Draenor really is the best leveling expansion ever, so at this point you can just go back to Draenor and just finish off Draenor. That is certainly an option if you want to keep things simple. However, I prefer to do some quests in low-level vanilla areas right near capital cities. They were all designed for walking, but now you're able to fly, so the questing is really fast, and there's much less chance of being PvP'd there. You also want to kill rares in these areas because they give about a full quest's worth of XP. So for the Horde, I start in Silverpine Forest, then I make my way to Hillsbrad Foothills, I full clear both zones. Silverpine Forest questline is my favorite story questline that Blizzard has ever done in any leveling zone. And there's only one exception to these two zones. I would say the quest Stag Witches, which takes place in the eastern half of Hillsbrad Foothills, is really bad. It's been bugged for 10 years. It takes 30 minutes to complete. Do not waste your time on that. These two zones are incredibly good. There's great quest stacking. There's lots of XP to be gathered here. You can pick up levels in the span of just a couple of minutes while you're in these two zones. Once you're done with those two zones, you can proceed on to Arathi Highlands. I would stay there until around level 40. If you're level 40 before you even get there, then I would still finish out the first two zones, but then I would just move directly to Draenor at that point. If you're playing Alliance, I prefer to start with Loch Madan, that's east of Ironforge. You could start in Thelsamar, the main city there, and just proceed through that entire zone. It's very good. From there, I like to go to Duskwood, which is south of Stormwind. I'll start in Darkshire again on the east side of the zone. It's a really good zone. You just want to clear it out. Then you can proceed onto the Red Ridge Mountains and start at Three Corners on the west side of the zone. And once again, I just kind of go until I'm level 40. You might hit level 40 before you even get to Red Ridge Mountains, which is great. At that point, I'll just go to Draenor. And now it's on to the best leveling zone ever, Gorgrond. Now, one of the reasons that Warlords of Draenor is so good is because of all of the bonus objectives scattered around the different zones. So that's the first thing you can do when you go back to Draenor is clear out the bonus objectives in Frostfire Ridge if you're Horde or Shadowmoon Valley if you're Alliance. Bonus objectives were like this brand new idea where you could do a questy style thing without actually having to pick up a quest. What a novel concept. And the way they incentivized it to players at the time was just making them be incredibly rewarding in terms of XP, which actually worked really well. Everybody loves Draenor bonus objectives, and so those are a real priority. Once you get to Gorgrond, you'll get a choice of one of two buildings to construct really early on in the quest line. If you're playing Horde, you want to build the Fight Club. If you're playing Alliance, you want to build the Sparring Ring. In each zone in Draenor, you'll get a garrison skill. The garrison skill for those two respective buildings will make it so that killing enemies while the skill is active will give you quest items that give you a ton of XP. There are tons of great quests and tons of bonus objectives around Gorgrond. You want to complete them all. There are also lots of rares in Gorgrond that will drop quest items, and you want to hunt those down too. Regular rares throughout Draenor will not give bonus XP in the way that regular rares in vanilla zones do, so you don't want to go out of your way to kill them, just the ones in Gorgrond. Once you've finished everything in the zone except for the quest, Strike While the Iron is Hot, you're ready to leave the zone. That is the zone's final quest, and it's extremely long and slow and not worth doing unless you want the zone questline achievement. At that point, you can head south into Taladar. You'll want to fly slightly southeast from Gorgrond into your faction's main base camp in the zone. That's Vol'jin's Pride if you're Horde, or Fort Rin as Alliance, and construct the Arsenal if you're Horde, or the Artillery Tower if you're Alliance. You'll get an Artillery Strike skill that deals a bunch of burst damage. You can go do all the bonus objectives in the zone again, and use the Garrison ability to very quickly kill enemies. Talador has really good bonus objectives, but the quests are kind of bad, so you want to pretty much just do those bonus objectives and then move on to Spires of Iraq and do the same basic thing there as well. You'll complete the opening questline. Be sure to learn archaeology from Rishad once you're able, because there are a lot of archaeology treasures around the zone that give extra XP too. You want to continue the questline until you're able to construct a garrison outpost, build the tavern if you're Horde, or the brewery if you're Alliance, and again complete all the bonus objectives in the zone, and look around the tavern or brewery for wanted quests that send you out to kill big elite monsters, and those give lots of XP for just killing one guy and flying back. Doing all of this should get you to level 70, but if it doesn't, you can just complete a few more quest lines in Spires of Iraq and you will be done there. If by some calamity you're not level 70 by this point, then you can just move on to Nagrand and continue questing there, and you will hit level 70 shortly. As soon as you have hit level 70, you'll get a quest and an item that will teleport you back to Orgrimmar or Stormwind. Use it and drop all of the Draenor quests you had left over, and now it's off to Khazalgar. If this is your first character, then again, just follow the questline. Just do the War Within questline. There you go. If you have completed the campaign already and unlocked adventure mode, then you will be able to skip the initial campaign intro offered by Thrall and Silithus, and you should do that because it's pretty slow. Adventure mode also allows you to complete world quests while leveling and run the zones in any order you like. World quests are generally quicker, more rewarding versions of the regular quests they're based on, so I'm a big fan of doing all the world quests I can while leveling, especially ones that overlap with areas where I'm trying to do campaign quests or side quests. In terms of the zone order, Isle of Dorn really is the best zone in the expansion, so just start at the same place you would if you were doing the campaign regular style. And then the Ringing Deeps and Hallowfall are both pretty good, but you probably won't have to go far into either of them thanks to Delves. So Delves got a pretty big XP buff in the first month or two of the War Within in the form of Delver's Bounty quests. These are normal one-time quests that are available at the start of each delve. They give a lot of XP, like around a third of a level each. And so what this means is that you can just simply fly between all of the delves and complete each of them one time, and this will give you a massive amount of XP for very little time investment. The delves in Isle of Dorn can get you to like level 72 just on their own. You can complete them on any difficulty you like. Level 1 is the fastest. Level 2 will give you, I think, maybe 10 to 15% more XP than level 1, and then the same goes for level 3. I think ultimately I just did them all on level 1 just to make them super easy. On their own, delves give about 10 to 20% of a level apiece, and some of them are incredibly fast. I mean, even as a completely clueless evoker player who just took hero talents without reading what they do, I was able to clear delves in under 3 minutes. With that being said, spamming a single delve repeatedly is generally not the best way to level, and it's also kind of boring, and that's because the XP reward for the Delver's Bounty quest is so big. So really, you just want to ping pong between all the delves and get the bonuses from all of them. There's one final note here though, Excavation Site 9 in the southeast side of the Ringing Deeps does not have a Delver's Bounty quest, so don't waste your time in there. As for dungeons, they were very good early on in the expansion, and a lot of outdated guides might still say, hey, just spam dungeons, but that also got changed in the first month of the expansion. Dungeons are okay, they're simple and easy, but they are not the fastest leveling approach, so I prefer to combine questing in Isle of Dorn with delves to keep things quick and efficient. And finally, I'll just finish up by talking about First Craft XP. Crafting professions grant you bonus experience for each time you perform a first-time craft on a War Within pattern. First-time crafts are exactly what they sound like. The first time you craft a pattern, you get that bonus. This only applies to the first 30 crafts that you do. It'll basically give you around a free level, and at this point in the expansion, the crafting materials are very cheap. I personally find it a little boring, but it is super fast, so it's a really easy way to finish off leveling from 79 to 80. And that's the state of leveling in patch 11.1.7. It's really fast. There's always the possibility that Blizzard speeds things up even further in patch 11.2, and if they do, we'll be ready to cover it. Alright, that's it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and join our Discord and say hello to me and Sunset if you haven't already. If you want to support us so we can keep making more WoW content, become a channel member as well. Thanks for watching. Bye.